The gasket on our Whirlpool dryer door got really frayed from clothes being dragged across it when they came out. Grandma has to sit at an angle on her wheelchair, and she sort of drags the clothes out this way, and they catch on the gasket. So I need to replace it. I bought a new one. It's right here, and removed the door to make it easier to work on. You don't have to remove the door, but it's just 2 screws over here on the hinge and 2 screws over here. And I keep in mind the hinges are kind of spring-loaded. This is the kind of dryer door it is. And this here is the number of the seal for this particular Whirlpool. Get there. It is a, there it is there. That is the number. Not all door seals are created equal, and the parts numbers are not equal either. Anyway, this thing is just glued on. Originally, I guess they had a rubber gasket that would press down in a slot all the way around. But they went to this cloth, kind of a, you know, heat-proof kind of thing. You just kind of peel it up all the way around. Let me go ahead and peel it all the way up. Then I got to figure out how to get the old silicone off. And there's all kinds of ways, you know, that they have tried on YouTube. I've looked at videos and everything. I think lacquer thinner is going to be our friend with this again. We'll see. This thing is outside now, and I wish I could have just peeled that stuff off. It would have been so much easier, but it's just not going to happen. I have an old rag to do a test with and a rubber glove. These are stripper gloves. You know, these just aren't regular rubber gloves. Those are stripper gloves, and they're reusable. You can get them at Lowe's. They're not that expensive, or Home Depot, or wherever. I'm just going to take a little bit of the lacquer thinner, put it on the rag, soak it pretty good right here, maybe in the corner, and then just start doing some scrubbing in there with the glove on, see if it'll come up. Alright, let's see what happens. Now I'm going to have to hold this thing still with one hand while I scrub with the other. Well, that did not remove the glue. It cleaned the channel real good though. So what I've done is, this is enamel, and we have a little channel down there. It's kind of like deep, a little deeper. I poured some of that lacquer thinner down in there. I'm just going to let it soak for a while and see if it won't loosen it. You know, maybe just the rag just wasn't enough to get it to cut her loose. So let's let her soak, and of course this stuff evaporates real fast. Well, the first 2 ideas didn't work. Let's try brilliant idea number 3. We're going to try some paint stripper. I'm just going to go ahead and put it down in there with this really small brush. Just kind of lay it down in there in this section right here and let it sit for a while, and then see if it'll come up. Now I know that some of you out there are saying, use WD-40, John, WD-40. Well, I'll tell you what, guys, I've seen both sides of that story. You know, it works and it doesn't work. So let's find out. We'll go ahead and find out for ourselves. I'll just go ahead and put a little WD-40 down here. Let's see what happens. I'm willing to try anything. By the way, our stripper is still soaking over here. Our stripper has soaked long enough. I'm going to take this little brass bristle brush and just kind of see if it'll loosen up some of that. Ooh, look at that. My goodness. Looks like it took off the paint and everything. That's okay. I have no problem with that, but that really did the job there. Look at that. Maybe I didn't have to leave it that long. Oh well, so you know, I probably could have just gotten away with leaving it the way it was without even taking that off, but that took it off. Look at there. That did a good job. So apparently this is not enamel, it's just painted with a clear coat over the top. Could have fooled me. Well, guess what, guys? WD-40 does not work to get rid of silicone. It softens it up a little bit, which I can go ahead and probably use this brass bristle brush without a whole lot of pressure to get it up. But it does soften it, but it does not remove it. Well, we just had some biscuits come out of the oven. So what I'm going to do is I filled the channel with WD-40 all the way around. And I'm going to go ahead and have a cup of coffee, eat a couple of biscuits. And you know, when I'm all done, maybe I'll come out. It'll all be nice and loose. If not, we can help it out with the brass bristle brush. See you after my tummy's full. Well, that's about the best that WD-40 is going to do. It just does not get it all out. The real thin parts, it loosens it up enough where a rag scraped it loose, but I'd have to soak it probably for 10 hours. Now, I'm not going to do that. So we're back to the stripper. This time I'm only going to lay it in there for a short period of time and then wipe it out. with a rag instead of using the brass bristle brush. Just got back from Lowe's, where I went down and bought me a nice clean brand new tube of silicone, and we're just going to put a little bead of it there, get that baby started. This stuff sometimes just does not want to cooperate. There we go. I'm just going to put a thin bead all the way around. We're not going to do anything really thick here. And then smooth it with my finger all the way around, follow it around. Pick it up over on this side. Thin bead all the way around. Actually, I don't really like messing with silicone. It's a pain in the butt stuff, but sometimes you just gotta have it. Alright, now I take my finger. I'm going to try to get no glue on the outside here. I'm going to try to keep it down in the channel, which means I'll probably have to wipe it down a little bit. But you'll notice, you know, when I took the old gasket off, there was not a whole lot of glue in there. Just enough to hold it, I guess. So far, it's feeling pretty good. Let's get over on this side. Feels like I got enough. I think. You got to kind of feel it with your finger where it's too thick or too thin. Alright, I think that's going to do it. Now let's get this gasket in place. Where the two halves of the gasket come together, it goes on the opposite side of this little latch right here. I marked it with a pencil before I took it off. I don't know if you can see that there. Okay, we'll just stick that down in there like so. And move the gasket all the way around now. So there it is, a nice clean fix. Looks really nice, really neat. We'll let it set overnight and put the door back on in the morning. That'll make Great Grandma happy because she's the one that does the laundry in our house. One last thing, if you ever have to replace these cloth type tubular gaskets in a dryer door and you put it down in there, don't just set it down in there after you put your silicone down in there. Make sure you press down with your fingers all the way. Make sure that thing is seated all the way at the bottom, all the way around. Might want to go around it a couple of times. Well, our electrical man, our Entergy guy, he just stopped in. I called him up and I said, hey, we have flickering lights. Well, they consider that an emergency, and this guy was here in like 10 minutes. He got up on the power transformer. This is what he found. All burnt to pieces, so he lopped it off, put a new one in. He said there's something missing here. He calls them popsicle sticks. He said they should have installed it. And I said, hey, that thing was in that power transformer has been up there probably about 50 years. There's no telling what they did 50 years ago. But it looks like we're good to go now. We'll know in the next couple hours. Well, I'm going to introduce Bill to everybody. This is Bill, our local Entergy man. Bill's the one that put our nightlight on, and he just came and fixed our telephone or our lights on the pole. We had a burnt cable on the power transformer. Bill's a good man. He was in and out. He won't even take any cold water. Thank you. The cool weather has finally hit Arkansas, and it instantly put me in two moods. One was to get out in the yard, cut tree branches off, and you know, shovel gravel out of the road that has been dragged out of our driveway over the last few years. And that took up the entire morning. Now that I've got that all done, it's all done on one side of the house. I got to do the other side probably tomorrow, but it's not going to be quite as much work. The other mood I'm in is to make some bread. Homemade bread. It's been a while since I've done it. And this time I'm going to give it a second try with whole wheat. For those of you who have watched my videos, you remember maybe a year or so ago I tried it with whole wheat. It was a total bust. I let it rise too long in the pans before putting it in the oven, and when I put it in the oven, the center just caved in. I mean, it didn't taste bad, but it wasn't fluffy type of bread. Well, I'd say that this one was a success. This one probably tastes good, but it didn't rise anywhere near to this one. Almost looks like a banana nut bread or something, doesn't it? Alright, the results are in. Great Grandma says it's real good. Wifey says it's kind of tasteless. I agree with Wifey. It's kind of tasteless. I do not like this wheat bread. But then again, maybe that's the way homemade wheat bread's supposed to taste. I don't know. I mean, I put 4 tablespoons of honey in it. Oh well, that's it for attempt number 2. You know, lately in the newspaper, I've been reading a lot about how these people are taking stolen credit cards, going into Walmart and buying a bunch of stuff. And then in the local newspaper, they put a picture of these morons, you know, and they say, do you know who these idiots are? You know, the police want to know and all this. And while I'm reading these articles, I'm thinking, wait a minute. How does someone steal a credit card or find a credit card, go to Walmart, and then just buy what they want? They don't have the key code or the code or whatever that thing is. And it's always made me wonder, how do these people get away with that without having that code? Well, today I found out. Went down to Walmart to pick up some things to work on my jukebox that I'm working on. I get up to the cash register and I had bought a few extra things. I bought more than I should have, I guess. I didn't have enough cash to cover it all. I normally don't ever use my debit card for anything. And the wife normally takes care of all that stuff. But she's down, you know, with broken ribs and all that. So I'm now I'm the Walmart mama now, you know. I get up to the cash register, I stick the card in, and I'm waiting for the machine to tell me to punch in my code, right? All of a sudden, it comes back approved. I said, what the heck just... I looked at the cashier. I said, what just happened? She said, oh, well, it's been approved. Well, no kidding, Sherlock. The question is, why was it approved? I didn't punch in any code. How did that happen? Oh, well, the Walmart system just remembers your code. What? You know, I had no idea. So she said, well, it does the same thing with me. Well, I don't care what it does with her. I don't want anything approved on my debit card. Apparently what I have is a debit card, credit card combination. Never knew it. I don't know. So I called somebody I know from the Walmart headquarters and I said, hey, look, you know, what's going on here? How come this thing got approved without my say-so with the code? If I lose that card, anybody can come in there and clean out my entire checking account, because that's what the card is connected to, not my savings to the checking account. He said, well, yeah, that's just the way it is. I said, well, wait a minute. What do you mean that's just the way it is? He said, well, that's Walmart policy. I said, I don't care about Walmart policy. I don't want them authorizing an expense on my card without my say-so by me putting in the code. Otherwise, why have the code? Let's just dispense with them all. Well, he said, well, the way it works is what happened was your card somehow was run as a credit card instead of a debit card. I still don't care. I want to be able to punch in the number to authorize the purchase. He said, well, the way it works is Walmart, yeah, if somebody steals your card and they come in there and they do all that stuff and they clean out your your checking account and all that without the code, Walmart will reimburse you the money. Fat chance, you know. You're right. They're not going to reimburse a damn thing. So, I don't trust Walmart anymore. I trusted it years ago. I don't trust it anymore. I am not a happy camper about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going down to my bank on Monday. Today is Saturday. I'm going down Monday and I'm going to tell them, hey, I don't want this to ever happen again. Is there anything I can do to prevent it? Now, this debit card I have has got this little chip in it. They sent them to me. I had no choice. I had to take it. And, here's the interesting question. If it happens at Walmart, will it happen at all other stores or many of the other stores that I go to and spend money? If I ever need to pull out my card like I did today at Walmart, will it just automatically approve it? It never happens at Lowe's. When my wife went in there and bought stuff, she would pay for it. They always ask for the code. This is what's called a rant. I'll let you know what the bank says. Alright folks, it's been a couple of days. Today's Monday and I went down to the bank. I use the term bank, but actually we don't use banks. We use credit union. And I prefer the credit union over bank any day. So I went down there and I walked in and this guy come up and said, what can I do for you? And it turned out to be he's the service manager, consumer service manager or something. A real nice guy, he took care of me right away. And we went off to the side, and I explained to him everything that I had explained to you. And he was very understanding about the whole thing. However, the bottom line was, can't do anything about it. I just couldn't believe it. I was stunned by all that. I said, well, how am I protected? If I lose my credit card and 4 or 5 days go by before I even discover it's gone, these people could clean me out. Clean out my entire checking account before I even know it. He said, well, we have systems set up to, if we have unusual purchases. I said, wait a minute, fine and dandy, but suppose it doesn't catch it for 3 days. I could still lose a lot of money. Suppose it only doesn't catch it for 2 days. And, it could be a bunch. He said, all right, what you have to do is, if you have a credit card / debit card, use the debit portion for ATM machines if you need money out of your checking account. The rest of your purchases should all be on the credit card side. And I said, well, I'm not into the credit card, credit stuff. He said, no, it'll come out of your checking account just like the debit card would take it out. No difference. And he said the best part about it is, if your card is stolen or you lose it and it has been fraudulently used, as a credit card, then we reimburse all the money you lost. He said we will, file a claim with the Visa company or the whatever. Mine happens to be a Visa card. He said, and we'll get your money back. I said, well, how long does that take? He said, well, anywhere from 3 to 7 days. And he said, we can issue you a temporary card to get you through that if you were to need money and that sort of thing, blah, blah, blah. He said, so any purchases you make, do it as a credit card. Don't do it as a debit card. And that way, if somebody gets in the watches your codes or whatever you do punch in at the cash register, it would be fraudulent. He said, the way it normally works is anything over $50 normally requires a PIN number to be punched in or a receipt to be signed. Well, I didn't know that, So that's the way it is, guys. He says it all has to do with that little chip that's in that card that was supposed to prevent all of this. I said, well, it's not doing a very good job. Anyway, that's the story on that. So from now on, when I make a purchase, I'm not going to tell the cashier or anyone else that I buy from, that I use that card. I'm going to always tell them, run it as a credit. Okay? Take that for what it's worth, folks. Well, the old garage here got cleaned out just in time for me to park my pickup truck in there. It needs new calipers on the front wheels. I can't believe it. So I need to get that done before the cold weather hits, that's for sure. Then I got a bunch of metal in the back here, and I'm going to dump where I used to work. They have this metal bin. You can throw metal in there. Guys that work there, plus those that have retired, So that's my my next chore. That's it for now, folks. Until next time, this is John.